My name is Braxton Wilhelmsen, and today I'm critiquing my website. I am a photographer. I've been working full-time, making my living from photography for 8 years. And that's a mix between freelance and full-time, but mostly full-time work with some freelance mixed in. I have interviewed a lot of photographers. I've been a photography manager, so I've done the interview process, and I've looked at a lot of people's portfolios. And I've also interviewed for a lot of jobs, so I really know how that process goes. There's a lot more information I'd like to share on this channel. Today, we're talking portfolios. In order to show my good faith and that I can take what I dish and not just critique other people, I'm starting with my own website, and I'm going to go through and show you what I've got, why I've got it, and then maybe some ideas for myself about what I could be doing better if I were wise. All right, let's get into it. My website is braxtonbrucephotography.com. Now, one thing that I've seen people do that really shoots them in the foot, even people with really great work. There's an ad agency that has tried to hire me recently, and I went to their website trying to see what kind of work they'd done in the past, what they're about. It took 10 minutes for their website to load, and I'm not even kidding. Normally no one would wait that long, but we were so fascinated that this company who claims to brand other businesses and build their websites had a website that took that long to load. So we just waited to see how long it would take. That's how long it took. So it's really important. There's people that have a whole stack of resumes, and if you make them wait more than 10 seconds for your website to load, 20 seconds tops, they're just going to leave. They're just going to move on to the next one because they've seen a million photographers and probably half of them would work just fine. They're just looking for the best one. So if there's one whose website won't load, they'll just say, you know what, if you can't even get a website that loads, I'm not going to waste my time, and they'll move on. So let's see how fast mine loads, see if I've passed the test. Okay, we got a title, we got my headings, and we got pictures. Okay, so that wasn't so fast. I've seen faster, but it was probably, what, 4 or 5 seconds? I think people can wait 4 or 5 seconds. All right, so I could do a little better. I think maybe I could improve it by uploading lower resolution versions of my photos instead of relying on the website sort of service that I use to downscale the images for me. So if I wanted to improve it, that's probably what I would do. That being said, I do have sort of an interactive gallery. I've got quite a lot of images on here. The resolution is nice and, clean. I wanted it to look good. So it's sort of a trade-off that I'm making there. The first thing that I want to talk about before I even get into the images is what is the purpose of your portfolio? What am I trying to achieve with my work? Am I trying to get wedding clients? Am I trying to get, people to buy prints of my landscape photos? If I'm trying to do either of those things, I am absolutely failing because I don't have any wedding photos on my website and I don't have any landscape photos. There's photos with landscapes in them, but I'm not trying to sell prints because most of the work I've done, I've either licensed to companies or it has a certain company's products in it and nobody's going to want to put that on their wall. So it's just not what I'm going for. Whenever you critique work, you need to understand what they're trying to achieve. My goals are to get work, number one. That's my number one goal. And my number two goal is to put all my work together in a place where I can go admire it and remember all these experiences I had shooting these things and feel like I'm doing a good job. I do want my website to have stuff I like on it. With that in mind, that I'm trying to get work, let's go through here and see if I'm succeeding. This is a shoot that I did here in Utah at the Salt Flats, and it turned out pretty good. I did cut my feet a little bit because the ground is pretty sharp. But we had a great shoot there, and I really loved the pictures. The colors there are always wonderful, even when there's no water on it. Where possible, when there's a variety of images that each have a different purpose and stand alone on their own, but are from the same shoot, I try to include those as a series to demonstrate that when I do advertising or lifestyle photography, I'm going to be able to take your product and I'm going to be able to display it in use in a variety of different ways and have all the color be cohesive and all of the mood cohesive and create a body of work there that you could put in a brochure or on a website or something like that. So here's the same product. It's in this bag. It's the same one she's got on, but this is shot in studio. So that has a different, it has a similar feeling, which is why I'm willing to put it together, but it's obviously not from the same shoot. The color's not the same, and so on. This is my advertising category. You may notice that in here there's some things that might be better suited for other categories. I'll get into why I've done that here in just a minute. And then as we get down here, you might see the quality change a little bit, the color. These ones here are not quite as punchy, or the color's not as saturated as they are up here. And these down here, some of this is work that I did in college. And I even have one here that I think I should probably get rid of. That was in college, and that background is just a disaster. That's an awful, awful background. I think it's a good concept. It was fun to shoot. It was just a student assignment. So I really shouldn't have it on my website anymore, but it's a lot of fun, and people still react to some of these ideas, like these ones here. Even though the technical quality is not quite as good as what I'm doing now, I still love those pictures, and these are examples of things that I've left on here for myself. You know, this one too. This isn't even commercial. If I have a commercial portfolio, I really shouldn't be putting things on here that aren't commercial in nature. But again, I just haven't got around to taking it off, so I guess that's a critique for me. I should go fix that, and I should go out and do some photos to replace it with. Okay, moving on to lifestyle. You'll see that the style of my lifestyle work is very similar to the style of my advertising work, and that's because, first of all, I'm trying to keep things consistent. I want people to know what they're going to get when they hire me, and I just love this look, so here's what I've done. A lot of these I've shot with the intent of them being used on social media, so I've really tried to keep kind of that social media style, while still getting that sort of surreal, painterly feeling that I generally love. And so you can see the use of that here. This photo here I shot in college, and this is the most awarded, stolen, licensed photo that I've ever shot. So just because it was shot in college doesn't mean that you shouldn't keep it unless it's terrible. And it's right next to this one that I just shot a few months ago. So we've got a good mix here of recent and old. And if you can't tell which ones are old and which ones are new, then maybe it's okay that they're in here. Okay, so I feel like in lifestyle I've got a good, lifestyle feeling. It's not so much about the product. This guy here is fishing. He's caught a fish, but he's standing on the cooler, and that's the product. But it's about the fish, and it's about the guy, and it's about the mood of the fiery sunset and the swamp. This is in Louisiana. So that's, to me, what lifestyle is. It's shooting all the action and all of the mood that surrounds the use of the product rather than the product itself. They're sitting on it. It's covered up with legs. It's covered up with fire. This is a product. It's covered up with marshmallows. It's really about the people and their experience, and that's why I've put these things in here. Sport. This shoot here could very easily go in lifestyle as well. It's obviously a lifestyle shoot of basketball. There's not a lot of high action except this first photo here, but I have a lot of sports images and I want to fill it out. So where I did a shoot that actually includes a sport, I just decided to leave it in here, even though, for the example, this is 100% a lifestyle photo. It's not about the guy. You can't see his face. He's not doing any action. He's not running. You can't see the product. It's blurry. This is all about the mood and the feeling of going out to practice by yourself and dribbling. But again, I'm basically using it as an excuse to be sports because it has a basketball in it. So that's a critique for me. I would say in the future, when I have more actual sport work, I'll move that over to lifestyle and I'll put the sport work in here. But the truth is that I don't get hired for sports that much. Most of the work I get hired for is, the most is product. But I get hired for lifestyle advertising more frequently than sport. So I don't mind if I have to spread the love a little bit here. I just saw recently Tim Tatter did a shot very similar to this. I'm sure I'm not the first one to do it. I think I found some inspiration online to this effect before I went and did this shoot. But I was happy to see that I had done something that he was doing. I think he used some color gels because that's what he's into right now. And that's actually pretty popular in general. This is maybe 2 or 3 years old, so not up with the times. But anyway, cheers to Tim Tatter. He's doing good work. My product section is where, I get hired for product photography very frequently because this is something you can get hired for on a national level, but there's also a lot of local product photography work out there. And so I actually see quite a bit of this work, and it's sort of a bread and butter thing. It doesn't pay as much per job as the advertising stuff does, but there's a lot of it, and so it's nice to keep busy with. So these are all for Lifetime. They make these coolers, and we travel around, and I think these have turned out pretty nice. We've got a wide variety of locations and feelings around the coolers there. There's quite a lot more that I've done, but these were just my favorite ones. I've done a lot of tables and chairs work for that same company, for Lifetime. That's where I work full-time right now. Basketball, kid hoops. And you can see I've put a photo here from that same shoot that was in the other category. That can be kind of a no-no if you show the same shoot in every category, because then what's the point of looking at the other categories? But it's a decision I made here because this is more about the product than about the guy or the sports. So it's just a choice I made, I guess. I don't know. I just barely finished these. I think they turned out pretty nice. The backgrounds are all different colors, which is not really good for portfolio. You want it to look like a cohesive body of work, especially the way that this one is only slightly different than this one in color. Not the best. The reason I did that is I was just trying to put a bunch of different colors in the background to show the client that any color they put these on, it was going to work well, because these were transparencies. So those shadows were painted on top of a transparency, so any color that they put these products on, including on a website with a colored background, it's going to look just like this and it's going to work. So I did this for them, not for my portfolio, and then I was just too lazy to go make myself other versions. So there's a critique for myself. I could have spent 5 minutes putting the same color in all of them. I did not. You know, I have a lot of these clients that are recurring. The people that did these knives are the same people that did these packs, and so that's been a recurring client. Rapid Reboot's been great, and they've recently referred me actually to the people that do the audio players. So word of mouth is really big once you sort of get your foot in the door. And I really like this black on black aesthetic, so I get asked to do that quite a bit. And then what's this? It turns cute. I have all these cupcakes and cute things. I know if I was critiquing someone's website, which I am right now, my advice would be to get rid of this stuff. If this isn't what you want to shoot, if it's not consistent with your other work, just get rid of it. You don't need it. However, I worked full-time for 3 years for this company called American Crafts, and they make craft supplies, scrapbooking supplies, and so on. And this is work I'm proud of. It has a totally different aesthetic. It's a totally different audience. But the truth is, there are full-time companies, full-time jobs with companies where this is the work that they want. I got a job interview with a company in Springville, Utah for this image. This isn't how the rest of my work is, but when I went in, they pulled up this image and they said, "Tell me about this." And so I've been reluctant to get rid of it because I feel like it's product work and it shows versatility and it's something that I've done and done well, so I'm leaving it. Anyway, way in the future, if I have tons of better work that's more consistent, I will replace it. I'll put it in. But for now, I'm willing to break some of the portfolio rules right now, and I'll tell you why. It's because I'm employed full-time at Lifetime. I'm planning to continue to be employed full-time as a photographer or photo manager and stuff like that. And so I don't have quite the demand on my portfolio that other people do. or I'm gearing it more toward the full-time job interview process than I am to the freelance hirer. So when I go into a full-time job, it's not going to hurt me as much to have a little bit of inconsistency in my work as it would for freelancers, because they need to know exactly what they're hiring you for, and they're shopping from a pool of tens of thousands of people. And so they don't want to mess with ambiguity, and they don't want to waste their time. But with full-time interviewers, if they see work in here that they like, that's already consistent with what they're trying to achieve, they're going to just ignore the other stuff, and they're going to look at the stuff that they like, and they're going to say, hey, like, this is what we want right here. Tell me about this image. That's how it works. These tables and chairs images right here, this got me a job interview out of the blue. I had a company that's a direct competitor of Lifetime. They called me up. They said, there's images on your work we'd love to have you do a shoot for us. I said, sorry, it's not ethical to do. And they said, we understand, but if you're ever looking for a job, give us a call. Because I have stuff on here that's exactly what they want. And if I had taken that off because it's not consistent with these cooler shots, that wouldn't be available to me. So I'm basing my decisions on actual experience, and it's those kinds of offers that I value more highly than, shooting for some magazine for $800 or something. So I'm basing this on what I'm actually trying to achieve, and even though it's a violation of what's traditionally good practice, I'm willing to do it. My next section is vehicles. This is my newest section. I have this client, they're called Cyberjet. They've had me doing photos of their jets recently. I'm currently working on their interior photography and some other stuff that probably won't make it to the website because it's just not the right aesthetic. But this interior type stuff is what I'm working on, and so soon there will be more of that. But I've got a wide variety here to show that I can showcase this in a variety of distances, times of day, locations, and then below that I've got some work I've done for a Volkswagen, Audi, Porsche dealership I used to work at when I first got out of college. Anyway, so I really like this. I just loved doing this, and I loved it so much that I pretty much dedicated an entire category on my website because I would love to be hired for this again, or automobiles or whatever it is, because this was a blast, and I'd really love to develop that part of my skill set. Okay, portraiture. This is one of my worst categories, I'd say. I think there's some nice photos in here, but the tone and the direction is all over the place because when I first became a photographer, first graduated from college, I thought this is the work I was going to do. I've always loved shooting people. Whenever I was an artist before that, I always loved painting faces, drawing faces. This is my thing. When I got out into the market, I realized that this is not the work I would get hired for. And so that came as kind of a surprise. But as a result, I sort of abandoned the effort to keep a perfect, consistent style because it doesn't matter. I don't get hired for it anyway. And the work that I like to do is more suited for celebrities or high-end magazine photography. But those jobs are really competitive, and I'm in Utah, and I don't really have a lot of interface with the people that are in that market, I guess. I'd still love to do it. It's great. This photo here is one I did. It's personal work, and I absolutely love it. I just think it's beautiful. And then I have this fashion photo, which has nothing to do with this one, and I have this one that's like a movie cover, one of those movies my wife likes to watch that's really cheesy, that has that girl from Full House that's still acting in it. And then this one is more like, I don't know, there's some advertising photographers that have a lot of humor in their images that are more illustrative. That's really what I love. This is more like that. I like it, so I put it in. This one's cutesy. She's a scrapbooker. I put it in. This one's a musician. It's classy. I put it in. This one's candid. He owns a restaurant. I put it in. I mean, I've got everything. I've got babies, and it's close up and clean, and I've got this one that's sort of got a little mood to it. I've got this one that was actually for an actual company. And then I've got these, which is what I started out with in college. I thought this was going to be my sort of specialty in photography. I was going to do these really clean, really serious, single light photos, and I got hired for them very, very few times. So I still love them. I still shoot them, but it doesn't really get me work. But I left it in because I'm all about it. This is a commission. This guy liked the stuff on my website and hired me for it. So thank you, that guy. It's much more common to get hired commercially. And this kind of image, even though she's got kind of a weird look on her face, this kind of image is the stuff that companies more frequently need, is shots of their workers at work or the atmosphere. Like Cyberjet has also had me shoot a whole spread of their factory that's very similar to this. And so it's a lot of corporate headshots and this sort of environmental portraiture for business that it seems like I get hired for. So sometimes you can limit your showing to what you want to get hired for, or you can limit it to what you do get hired for to get hired for that more. So you can really make a decision about what's important to you and what you want to see happen, and then cater your work to that goal. My goal here, honestly, I already have a full-time job. I already have so much work. I'm turning people away. The work that I want is work that's fun to do at this point, because I don't really need the income. I have a job. I'm doing fine. It's a great job. So if I get hired, I want to get hired for stuff like what I've put on here. So the way that I've catered this, even though it's not ideal if I'm trying to break into the industry or get my foot in the door in New York or something in the freelance world, this is in fact catered to what my goal is, which is to get work that's exactly like what I've enjoyed doing in the past. And I've enjoyed every one of these shoots. I've enjoyed all these airplane things. I've enjoyed all this product. I mean, this work is exactly what I want my work to look like, and it's exactly what I want to be hired for. So that's why this is so different from this, and I'm okay with it, is because I like both those things, and if there's a company looking for either of them, I'm happy to do it. And I also am happy if I don't get hired, because then I have more time to just enjoy my life, I guess. One of the other big critiques of my website is that I have too many categories. I have, 8? I've got a film section. Now, I've done some film work, and I'm proud of my film work, and I enjoyed doing my film work, and I'd like to get hired for more film work. That'd be great. But it hasn't been the priority in my, in what I've done during my life. I haven't been trying to be a videographer. I did it full time for a company for 2.5 years, so I certainly know how. I used to own a Red Scarlet Dragon, so I certainly know about that. But again, it's just not really the work I'm actively trying to get. And so I've got these on here just to show that I can, because I often, any photographer these days probably gets people saying, hey, I want you to do photos. Do you also do video? I do, and I want to be able to show them something. So I've got this. I've got my demo reel here, and then here's some video I did at some photo shoots that I did just to add to my video showing. So I've got that on there. It's helped me in my life. Some of that actually got me that full-time job. And then this is probably the worst category on my whole website. I have an artwork category. Now, this is really weird. I'm a photographer. People probably want to know that I'm going to do photography if they hire me. But the truth is, in college, I was studying illustration, and I love to paint. I love to draw. And like I said, it's mostly faces. And I'm not trying to get work so hard. This category is more or less for me. I just love having it all in one place. I love being able to show people, hey, the photography that I do looks the way that it does because this is my background. In illustration, the focus is very much on storytelling. It's very much on aesthetic. It's very much on that painterly feeling. It's on communication, not so much on, hard and fast technical rules or, I don't know. I'm not a gearhead. Honestly, I don't even own a camera. So how are you shooting this video? Well, it's a mystery. I'll let you try to figure that out. Anyway, so this is just for me. It's fun. I like it. This is all work I've done. It's if someone wanted to hire me for a caricature, I would be super happy about it. I don't anticipate that happening, but as I do some drawings and paintings, I've still been adding to this, and it's very satisfying for me to go look at it. Now, this is a section I have a strong opinion about. I have seen so many photography pages where people have their About Me section. They've got a photo of themselves in their hipster clothes and their red framed glasses and their beanie that they wear when it's 95 degrees outside, and all these things to show that they're an artist or a photographer. There is something to be said for dressing the part. I get it. And when you show up to a shoot and you just look like you haven't showered in a week and you're wearing clothes that aren't appropriate for the weather, in my opinion, it's weird. And I'd rather just show up and be a human being and just be professional and just say, hey, I know what I'm doing. I'm a confident guy and I've got it together. The reason I'm saying this is because besides the picture, there's also often an artist statement that says something like, from deep within, I reflect in my photography the difficulties of my childhood, and I see the world around me as a figment of my imagination. I mean, they just go on and on in this nonsensical, it's almost poetry. It doesn't even mean anything. It's just designed to seem like you're deep, like you're magical and mystical, and that you have some ability that's far beyond that of the average mortal. And as far as I'm concerned, photography is pretty easy. Like, if you've ever done a painting, you know that photography is super easy. That's why it became so popular, because it's so easy to just go out and push the button and instantly record light, and now you've got an image. If you have to paint that same light, it can take months. I mean, you're building it stroke by stroke. You have to have understanding of anatomy. You have to have understanding of light and color in your own brain, not just in your Photoshop. I mean, there's still some complexity that's there, but at the basic level, photography is just not that big a deal if you want to go out and make a pretty picture. People do it all the time. You go shoot landscapes. Everybody can make a beautiful landscape photo. It's awesome. So I'm not saying photography is bad or it's dumb. I'm just saying if I'm trying to self-aggrandize myself because I take pictures, it's just a little bit, it just seems disingenuous, and it seems... it's just gross to me, because really we're all just photographers. We're regular people. We're just trying to figure this thing out. And most of us do a pretty good job. So I don't know why we need to try to pretend like what we do is saving the world. On my website, I've really cut to the chase. I've gone straight to the business. I've got my publications here. I've got my awards. I've got my clients. And I've got tear sheets to show. I think this is really valuable, and I don't see this very often on websites. Here's a label for one of Lifetime Products' products. That sounds redundant. So we've got my big picture here, and you can see it in place. I've got her putting on the backpack, getting it out of the car. I've got her walking it out to the water. I've got her pumping it up. So it really shows, okay, they've got the features, and this is what it actually looks like when my photos are on the label. I want them to be able to see that my pictures aren't just pretty, but they actually make the label beautiful. And then I've got stuff like this popular photography cover before that magazine went sort of downhill. I won several contests and got a cover and several features inside of that magazine, and that's pretty prestigious if anybody cares about photography magazines. And my contact page is really uninteresting. It's just got my logo and my name and my telly. And then my blog. I haven't written in my blog for almost a year. And as far as search engine optimization on Google, your blog is really going to be one of the most important things you do, as far as I'm aware. I mean, that's what I understand. And so you really should be posting frequently and including a lot of relevant text that's not spam. Sometimes I use my blog to post pictures that don't fit in my portfolio. I did this fashion shoot just for fun. I was really pleased with it. I thought it was really lovely, but I don't have a fashion category on my website, and I'm not trying to get fashion work. So I just posted it here, and this was really great. I can share this if I want to. I can still show it in an interview if I need to, but it's not going to sort of clutter up my main website and confuse people about what I'm trying to do. So a blog can be useful, but my critique for myself probably would just be to use it once in a while. Okay, so that's my website. That's my portfolio. It is doing for me right now what I hope that it would do, what I want it to do. My main critique for myself probably is that, look, if you got more work, if you got more people calling you, then you could raise your prices and just tell the people who don't want to pay very much, look, I've already got this other work. I'm happy to refer you to some other photographers that are a little earlier on in their careers. But again, I have a full-time job. I love it. And I have a pretty good resume, so I'm confident I can get another job when the time comes. So I just haven't been very motivated. I have been updating my website, but I've not been strongly motivated to optimize it in some of the ways that I've been describing. Though when things are slow, I do go in and update it from time to time with just some of that SEO stuff. Thank you for watching. If you like what I've done here, if you're interested in a critique in your website, please leave it in the comments below and I'd be happy to go and take a look. Also, if you like it, subscribe, click the bell, like the video, and you'll be notified every time there's new videos out with critiques like these. I'll also be creating content on how to interview for a photography job, how to present your work in person, and more like that. So if you're interested in those things, again, stay tuned, and it's coming soon.